Hello, Las Vegas, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing. That's enough of that. We just want to get right to the show. And this week's guest, we have Leah Gruber. Leah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited. This is going to be a ball. I was telling Jess Negromonte when she was on that she and you had been posting content from Angel Park 2 years ago. And I wasn't starting to really understand how it worked until about a year and a half ago. So for those first 6 months, I was just like, how do I tap into these people and both use them as a model and then also encourage them to be at Angel Park more, right?
Yeah.
To spread that thing. And so, when was the first time I reached out to you? It's probably been close to a year.
It's definitely been a year.
Yeah.
But I've definitely been coming to Angel Park for a while.
Yeah, well, let's circle back to that. So let's just start at the beginning.
Okay.
How old were you when you were introduced to golf?
Old.
So it's recent.
It's recent, yeah. So I grew up very athletic.
Oh, and let's point out, are you from here or you used to live here? Where are you from?
No. I'm from Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm a very Minnesota girl.
You had to lose the accent?
Well, I'm not from up north, but every now and then when I say no, you'll hear it.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I still have that a little bit. But no. But I'll tell you starting from the beginning, I'll tell you what brought me to Vegas and then how I got kind of into golf.
Okay, yeah, that sounds perfect. Well, let's talk about athletics just for a second because you said you were very athletic. What'd you play and did you play past high school or what'd you play?
Okay, so I played softball and soccer and diving and cross-country skiing.
Oh, wow, you were an athlete.
I did everything. And I was pretty good at everything. I wasn't amazing at one particular thing. I did gymnastics, and I ran track, and I was the captain of my track team at my high school for 2 years.
Holy cow.
And I wanted to walk on in college, but ended up having surgery on my feet, so didn't end up doing that.
Oh, no.
But I ended up teaching a lot of group fitness classes and being involved in the fitness studio at the U of M.
Oh, okay.
Yep, where I went to college.
Yep. And then, so after college, what's the story about coming to Las Vegas?
So I took a circus class in college, and I really liked it.
Like Cirque du Soleil stuff?
Like Cirque du Soleil stuff, yeah. And I really liked it, and I was working in a cubicle at the time, and just hating my life, and like really bored. And I was like, is this it? Is this life? Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Just in this cubicle?
You were doing everything in high school and college, and now you're in a cubicle.
Yeah. So I'm like, So I just was thinking, I was like, what is the craziest thing I could think about doing? And I'm like, I'd want to move to Vegas and become an aerialist. That like just seemed like so much fun. Like, but I wasn't that good at the time. I just didn't have enough money or time to train a lot. But I was like, but what if I just went and did it? Because at the end of the day, life is short and I could wait years longer until I feel super ready. But then I'm, a lot older. So I'm like, what if I just went and did it? So I met somebody who was moving out here, and she hooked me up with a friend of a friend to be roommates with. And I just came out here and started doing aerial work out here.
Wow.
And circus stuff.
So which show did you work?
So I freelanced, and I worked at Margaritaville. So I used to slide down a water slide into a margarita glass. And then
Fun.
a hook would come down, and I would spin around in the air.
That's fun.
And dance around a little bit and stuff.
Oh, that's so fun. So, again, golf?
So I'm, coming out here trying to perform, but, performing's up and down. Like sometimes I'm working a lot, sometimes I'm not, but I'm looking for something else I can do during the day. So then I got involved with golf caddying with Platinum Tees, which is like model golf caddying.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, Platinum Tees has been out here for a long time. And I think that's why you were all out here at the same time. I think Kayla was one who, early in the thing, we're going to need you on the show, of course. So Platinum Tees starts, and you are not a golfer.
So I'm not a golfer.
But that's why they call it, they're very specific. They're not caddies.
They're model golf caddies.
Yep.
But I've always been a fake it till you make it type of gal too. Like even with aerial, I wasn't necessarily like the best aerialist at all. But I'm like, I'm going to do a ton of research. I'm going to do a ton of work to get really good. Like I'm going to present myself,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I did with golf caddying too, is like I did a lot of research on it. I did, and I think just to sometimes you just have to put yourself out there and just act super confident, and a lot of times with the model golf caddying too, it is like you need to know the basics for sure, but sometimes it's just about having conversations with people and getting to know people.
Sure.
And and having the solid basics. So that's what brought me into golf.
And so and then you start liking playing?
Yeah, so
how many years ago is this?
This is a while ago now. I am not good with years or dates, like in general. This is like 7.
Yeah, so somewhere in the teens. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I was out there and I was like, what would make me even better at golf caddying than just to know all this knowledge is to really play, to really get out there. And also I was out there a lot and I was like, I think I would just be more invested and like, my focus would be better during the game if I really played,
Right.
You just become more invested.
You'll understand, and you understand it more. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, then I just started, trying to play and
How'd that go at first?
so
It's not easy.
I tell you what, though, like people that played when they were kids just don't know. They don't know that to get a swing down, like that makes sense, is very hard. And I think if you grow up playing, you just don't understand this, like.
Oh, it's the same as like learning another language. The younger you start something, the more you're going to pick, the easier you're going to pick it up.
And it's easier to come back to it. Even if you played a little bit as a kid, just so much easier to come back to it. You kind of understand the swing a little bit. I understood athleticism. And I was like, if I just swing super hard, this ball's going to go so far.
That's half the guests on this show. Half the guests on this show got into it somewhere around COVID or just before because of their athletes.
Yeah.
That they're not playing their sports necessarily anymore, but they were really good.
Yes.
And so they're like, oh, I can go do this. And then it's tough at first, and then that makes them want it more, right?
So I don't know if I would have continued golfing if I wasn't in the golf industry around that time, because I was so bad for so long, and I had never experienced that in a sport before.
Right.
Being so bad for so long.
Yeah. Who wants to do something that they're not good at, too, right?
I couldn't keep it in the fairway. But like, I was never slow. I'd always pick up my ball. And, I'm also good at helping people that don't golf a lot, because I didn't golf a lot. And I knew, like, what makes golf fun is like, okay, you lost a ball over here. We'll just drop it where, somebody else hit, and, or putt, or just work on different pieces of your game. You don't have to have all of it together. But it was very, very, very frustrating for me for about 2 years.
Yeah. I'll bet. Okay, I'm guessing that what I want to ask you about next is happening right around the same time. But
Yeah.
You auditioned for Survivor.
Yeah, yes, it did.
Okay, we have to tell that story. This show is all about telling stories.
Yeah.
I want to know, I'm sure people want to know, what's that like?
Okay, so I'm a big Survivor fan and Amazing Race fan, and I really wanted to be on Survivor, obviously, and I auditioned a couple times, and I finally got this video to pop for them. Sometimes it's just making a video and, sending it out to them, and so I made it to like their top 20
Whatever,
or something.
yeah.
So they flew me out to LA, and they sequestered me. So basically, you're not supposed to talk to anybody for a week. You can't leave the hotel. Even if you couldn't ride in the elevator with another person, you weren't allowed to talk to anybody except for staff. You had to make sure that you weren't talking to anybody else in the building. You had to eat alone. You couldn't bring your phone with you.
Sounds like the FBI.
It wasn't at all like I thought it was going to be. It was so strange. And just like, going in and sitting down and them asking questions. And, I thought it'd be more of a like laid back, telling stories. And no, I felt like, I felt very like on guard, and I think they wanted to push you to see what you did.
When you explained it to me a little bit, I think that's what I was guessing. So explain that, because they were asking questions, then you would answer them, and then how would they respond?
So they had told me at the beginning that with pretty girls, they're really mean to them, and I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what are they going to be like? You're ugly, like I don't know. I didn't know what they were going to do, but they like. Basically, like, I would answer a question, and they'd be like, so what else? That's dumb. Okay, like, we don't believe you. Why would you answer it like that? Why would you answer it again?
I can't believe they said that's dumb.
Like, I
can't believe it.
Well, and I think it's because they wanted to see, like, what you would do when you're, like...
pushed.
When you're pushed. And, which is, and... So it made you nervous, like you can't just sit there and not say anything. So, and then it's like, do they want me to yell at them? I don't know. It was so hard, and I'm not good with confrontation. I'm from Minnesota. So it was very hard to figure out. But when you answered something, they really wanted you to, first of all, answer the question, but they wanted you to relate it back to Survivor. So you had to think of like an episode or a story that happened in there.
So they wanted to know how big of a fan you were.
Yeah, but like what your strategy would be, and you would relate it to a strategy that had already been on the show, and then you would relate it back to your real life. So you'd be like, well, on the golf course, if I got hit with a golf ball in the head, I would blah, 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 blah. And like how you would... what you would do in your life. So you had to think of like 3 different answers all at once, in a short period of time. And
nerve-wracking.
Oh, it was very nerve-wracking. And then we had to take a bunch of personality tests for hours. And that was, I have bad ADHD, and we were just hours doing these, personality tests. And some people were really done really fast too. I was like, how are you done so fast? Anyways, and then we talked to doctors about our medical tests, and and then different doctors reviewing, just our health in general, and any medications we took, and so it was very interesting. And then they told me that I was cut.
Yeah,
like 4 days
that had
in.
to be heartbreaking.
And they don't tell you why. They don't tell you what happened.
They just say, see you later.
They just say bye.
Thank you, bye. That's crazy. You brought up that you have ADHD. If you are comfortable with it, I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
One of the things that's been happening on this show recently, the most, but it's always been there, is talking about mental health.
Yeah.
Do you find that the golf course gives you a sense of relief from that?
So, I find that what I think golf is really good for my brain in a way that, like, to play well, I have to keep engaged and focused. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's hard for me sometimes to stay focused for all 18. And I think that's something that's, like, if you practice it, you can be able to focus more, or, like, tap into, like, what makes you stay focused, if that makes sense.
Of course.
That being said, too, I always think about if I played when I was younger, how I would have done. And I'm not sure how I would have done at like 12, because I was so rambunctious. But maybe it would have helped. I don't know. But
that's interesting. I'm curious, because if you could play all those sports, you could play golf. And when you were younger, it would have been easier. And that's interesting, because that you think about that, because you probably would have been a pretty good player.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it's sometimes too with ADHD, it depends how you are with it. But I can, like, sometimes get hyper focused, and then sometimes I have no focus.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I was writing a paper in college, I would just have to start very early, and I would take the times that I'm, like, super hyper focused and go. And write, So I think sometimes that happens out on the course too, where I'm not having as focused of a day, and so I'm a little squirrely all over the place. And then I think some rounds I'm just, like, more hyper focused too, where I can, like, I'm just really drilling in. And I think also when you're, like, hyper focused like that, it feels good. You're in your vibe, you're in your element, like everything's a lot easier.
You also mentioned by going on Survivor that you made a tape. Gage and I were talking recently about this show and his podcast, and he's like, yeah, and you got to want to be on camera a little bit. And I'm like, a little bit? And you sound like you're that person too. So were you comfortable when, I'm guessing it just started as Platinum Tees, or were you publishing your own content at first? When does that start?
Yeah. So I grew up doing theater. I was actually a theater major in college, and I've always loved attention because I'm the middle child. And so I've always liked, even like when it was just Facebook, I've always liked posting photos and videos and stuff like that and taking them. So I've always done that. And then when I started working with Platinum, they wanted us to post like stuff of us on the golf course. And at first I was like a little embarrassed about it. I was like, I don't know, like, because I'm not the best golfer, you know, and I just was like, I don't know. And then all of our Instagrams kind of were blowing up together, you know, because there weren't a lot of girls posting golf content at the time.
Yeah, and this is what, around 2-3 years ago?
No, this is like when I first started.
Oh, so you've
Platinum.
been doing it the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I've seen an evolution of social media and just how different it's been over the last
How do
few
you
years.
produce it? Are you a one-person camera person? Do you have a team who helps you edit?
I just have me.
Okay.
And
How do you edit?
I like doing everything myself. I don't batch a bunch of stuff, if you know what I'm saying. Some
Yep.
people will take a bunch of content all at once and then batch it for like a week or two.
Right.
And I tend to not do that. I tend to just take my content and then edit it and then kind of post it at the time. But there's times where I go out on the golf course where I'll get a couple pieces of content. But luckily I have friends that I golf with that will take, you know, photos and videos for me.
Right.
I really try not to be the annoying person.
That asks if you could
That
do it?
asks
Yeah.
or that films, unless I know that I'm out there to film, they know I'm out there to film. If I'm out just golfing, but you're like, oh, can you take this video? Can you take this, like, on every shot? That's really annoying for people.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So sometimes I'll just pick a hole, or like, you know, my girlfriends are better about it, you know, like who make content. So if I'm out there with a girl that makes content, it's so much easier to film longer. But if I'm out there with people that don't film content, like I might have them, you know, take a picture or video, but like not like one, you know.
Right,
I don't
right.
try to ruin their day
Oh,
with my content.
So what happens at the end of Platinum Tees? How do you end up graduating from Platinum Tees?
So I've just with Platinum, man, there's so much that like has happened, and you know, and I still work with Platinum a little bit
Oh,
now.
so, okay.
Yep, still. But so I moved from Vegas and I moved to San Diego, and I'm trying to think of like I've moved probably like 7 or 8 times since being here. But when I really started to really golf, so I went to Minnesota. I've done so much weird stuff with golf, so I'm trying to like map it in my head. I started working with a golf blog in Minnesota. And
Shout it out.
iGolf Reviews.
iGolf Reviews?
Yes, iGolf Reviews. So I started working with them, and I got my first set of clubs through them.
Okay.
And honestly, you know, doing social media for golf has helped me golf more, because sometimes I couldn't afford everything there. You know, golf is expensive,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes, but you can make it work. So I started golfing more. I had a set of clubs, and then I moved back to Vegas, and I started golfing even more when came back. And then I moved to San
Diego.
San
Oh, San Jose.
with an ex, and we golfed a lot. And that was right before and during COVID. And that's, you know, everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about the COVID thing.
Yeah.
But that's when I started playing like more consistently, is like during COVID. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm not an embarrassing golfer anymore.
Right. When did you know that? And Shay brought up, instead of influencer, golf advocate, which I
Yes.
thought was a great word.
I think so too.
And so when did you first think, oh wow, I'm a little bit more popular, or this is a thing?
Man, I think almost right at the beginning. But, also I think after a year of posting, there was something that I kind of did that was a little bit different than some of the other people that were posting, is I wanted people to know where I was at golfing, that I was a new golfer, that I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not. So I started posting my golf swings. Like, I wanted people to know
The growth.
like the growth, yes. And so I've always kind of done that in my posting. I've always showed where I'm at. I've showed, bad swings, and kind of showed the progression, which I think is kind of fun too.
We were talking about pieces that go viral, and you said, and it's never the ones you think it's going
No.
to be. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? because you do have a process, right? Oh, you're laughing because you don't want to talk about one. Maybe you have one in your mind. I love this. This is great. I'm leaving all this in.
I'm gonna say it because obviously. Okay, so my TikTok went very viral, and maybe it wasn't a golf related video that went viral, but I was like, what the F? Like, how is this viral? And my TikTok skyrocketed to over 1 million followers.
Whoa, you have over 1 million followers on TikTok?
I know. I mean, it sounds really cool, but I promise you I'm not that cool. And TikTok is just a very strange land.
Well, its algorithm is better than all the others, which
Yes,
I think is interesting. That helps make it more addictive, right?
Yes.
I think it was my daughter who told me, you got to get on TikTok. You got to get on TikTok. And I'm like, I can't do another one. And she said, no, this one will just be, you'll feel like it's made for you. And
Yeah.
and it is. It does.
TikTok is a crazy place. I actually got on it before most people did, and that's why I blew up so hard.
Gotcha.
Because I got on it before COVID.
Early, yeah.
I got on it before COVID. And
Were
I
you
got
on it when it was Musically?
just after Musically.
Okay, just after that.
And I listened to Gary Vee, and Gary Vee was like, with social media, you really need to be on TikTok and post twice a day. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post twice a day.
We talk about other influencers that we follow and golf content we consume. Let's start right there, because I'm not familiar with Gary Vee. Why don't you tell us who he is?
Oh, he's not a golf influencer, but he is an entrepreneur. And he talks about selling baseball cards and just kind of about the younger generation in marketing and social media.
Oh, I need to get this guy. That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So why don't you talk about what golf content you consume the most? Do you like long form, short form? Do you watch golf tournaments?
So I like short form because I'm a TikTok, Instagram person.
And it's an attention span thing.
And it's attention span thing. Yes. Yeah. So I like this. I like short bites of different things. I actually got into going and watching golf tournaments probably in the last few years. And
attending's fun.
yeah, attending is fun. Usually I'm kind of working sometimes.
Sure.
I volunteered at the AT&T. So I got to go to that at Pebble, and I've worked waste management
Oh, wow.
2 times. Yes. Oh, wow is right.
Tell us about that.
I was not prepared for waste management, and
Not many people are. It's not a normal golf tournament.
it's not. So number one, it's not a normal golf tournament just to go to. Now to work, it's really not a normal golf tournament. So I worked hole 16. where everything is
Sure.
crazy.
Stadium
and
hole.
I don't know if people know, but the alcohol is free there. So, so you're just getting drinks to people, and people are just like tipping you. But like, it's like free there. So you are the volume that you are like serving is insane. Like
You're just handing out beers.
bananas, yes.
All day.
It's just like, and you're heads down up, but like, and then people it's crazy, and then sometimes if you're in a slower section, because every day they switch you sections, like you can kind of watch a little bit of the tournament or happening. I was there like a few years ago for the hole in one on 16 where they threw all the beers
where
on.
everybody, I remember
And
that.
that was crazy because I like got to watch it, and then I was like, and holy, there's so many people ordering right now. And just like the
They go
long
hard. They go
lines
hard
and
there.
all day long, and it's so crazy. And then walking out, I have this video of this guy just eating it, like face planting on the ground, and then he comes up and there's blood all over his face. And he's like, I'm fine. Like, what's wrong? I don't know. Like,
so intoxicated he didn't feel it or didn't even know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not serving people that were intoxicated like that, but there is, I mean, you
Sure.
see like, people rolling down the hills and just like not being able to walk, and just so many people. And, yeah. And, I talked to some of my girlfriends that work at like Wet Republic or some of the cocktail, they cocktail it here because I never cocktailed out of here. And I was like, I don't know how you cocktail. This is crazy. And she's like, Leah, it is not like this. Cocktailing, this is crazy. Yeah. She's like, this is not normal. And I was like, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
That's fun. What are some things that, as a newer golfer, that you don't like about golf or that you would change about golf? Is there anything?
I think, well, not that I would like necessarily like change, but some of the things, like sometimes women are not the most friendly on golf courses.
Golf Mommy brought that up. She said that she had a really hard time, and I was like, oh, was it like racism based? And she said no. And I said, was it getting in with the men? And she said no, it was getting in with the women.
Yeah. I think people, judge you based on how you look. And, I'm also kind of...
Well, I'm sure you get that with platinum tees too,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not necessarily always dressed like I am with platinum if I'm in Minnesota, because it doesn't necessarily make as much... It's Minnesota. So, but like I once went to work a golf tournament, and the ladies there were like, just to let you know, you can't wear your bikini on the green, or like you can't wear your bikini on the hole. I was like,
I wasn't going to do that anyway.
I wasn't trying to wear a bikini. I don't know what has happened here, but like, and they were so like, they would barely look at us, and like, we're here to work a hole. Like, we're not like, we're dressed in a polo, like we're dressed golf appropriate, and I wasn't trying to wear a bikini on any hole.
Right.
And so I think also too, if I ever have women in my group and then I start talking to them, it kind of like, makes them feel more comfortable around me. Because, and I think that's in general too, like I feel like women sometimes can be like very like,
yeah,
who are you? Like, until you're like friendly, with them.
Right.
And then they kind of can see like, okay, you're friendly. I'm just out there to have a good time. I'm, like, I'm not super competitive when I play, because I really, I've found for me, like, when I'm too competitive, I don't do well.
You don't do well, right?
No.
Yeah, no, that's a common trait. Yeah. I knew what I was going to ask you next. Oh, okay. So what do you see your content going from here? Do you have a plan for the future? Are you...
Okay, that's a good question. So I did have a golf fitness program that I was doing, and I had that for a year, and then my dad got sick, and so I had to go back to Minnesota to help out. My dad had cancer, and he just recently passed away.
I'm so sorry.
So it was just more focusing on family and that. But I would like to maybe bring that back, my golf fitness program. Because my background's really in fitness, too. So I used to be a bikini competitor for 10 years and used to train people. So I really liked the fitness aspect, too, of golf. And, like, I also had a back injury. Shoulder injury, I've had many injuries, and, staying healthy during golf is super important. And I also thought, just because I was super athletic, like, I won't get hurt golfing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super athletic.
Yeah, in
No.
golf, you can definitely get hurt. Are there any companies that you're working with that you want to shout out?
I'm like, great. Not at
Not
the moment.
currently.
Not at the moment. I'm always working with different companies.
And so how does that work? Do they set up like a couple of month contract that you wear their gear or promote their stuff?
Sometimes it's just like a post. Sometimes it's a couple posts. It's usually more like posting wise. Sometimes it is like a 6-month thing.
Mm-hmm.
I also work with OTL Golf Magazine too.
Okay.
So I was
What's
writing
OTL?
on the links.
On the links.
Yep. And they're out of Austin, but they have a magazine in Texas, Scottsdale, and Vegas.
Oh, okay.
They just started one here in Vegas. So I was doing golf fitness. I was writing like a golf fitness.
You were
thing for
writing
them. Yes.
a
Yep.
piece every month
Yep.
or whatever it was.
Yep.
Oh, how
Yeah.
fun. And you're still doing that?
So kind of when my dad got sick, I kind of took a step back
Yep.
from everything. And so I'm kind of getting back into that again and working with OTL a little bit more. So I'm just talking with them again about getting back in there. So
I can't wait. Can't wait to follow
Yeah.
all of it.
yeah.
What's your favorite thing about golf?
My favorite thing about golf. I think it's the focus thing. I feel like it's good for your brain. I'm not joking.
It is good for your brain.
I do think it's good for your brain. And like, I think it's like a good exercise for me to stay focused. And also it's a good exercise on like discipline of like not being too competitive, because I am a competitive person and, sometimes you need to do things for fun and not just be as competitive.
It's
I
a
don't know how to
game.
explain
It's
that.
supposed to be fun.
Yes.
Yes. And everybody enjoys it differently.
Yes.
That's coming up a lot on this show too. The debate between purists and new golfers and tradition. And I was talking with you about that a little bit. And you said, yeah, I didn't understand the tradition at the beginning,
Yeah.
but now the further I get into it, the more you're leaning towards, so you're becoming a purist in some ways,
Yeah,
right?
like, I'm just getting more and more introduced to
And I
everything.
think there's a lot of people who do that.
Yeah,
path.
and there's so many, I find so many people who, I interact with so many people who are so enthusiastic about golf, and then they tell me why, and they, explain different aspects of golf to me that I might not have known, and, or
And it's
who,
infectious.
yes, who have either played for a while, watched golf, or interacted with golf for a while, and it's just so fun. I've been able to interact with so many people that are so enthusiastic about golf, and I think that's been a good thing for me with posting and stuff like that, is that I had access to that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love talking to people about golf and why they love it, and yeah.
That's so fun. We play a par 5. Well, you watched the show, so you understand that there's 5 questions that we ask to every guest at the
Yes.
end. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
All right,
Oh
let's
man.
go. What's your favorite golf movie?
Oh, my favorite golf movie? You know what? I just had spent time, like a couple years ago, watching a bunch of golf movies because I hadn't seen a lot of them, which
Right.
is funny because I didn't grow up golfing.
We get that. We get that on the show.
Yeah. So, but I feel like Happy Gilmore is like a classic. You can't really go.
We've gotten that answer a lot, and mostly because of Sandler. People tend to love
it's just
Sandler.
like classic. And I think I saw that movie before I golfed too. So I've seen, that's the one that like I'm most familiar with too.
Yeah.
That it's the more of a golf. You know what also is a really good movie? It's a documentary. The Short Game.
The Short Game. I'm gonna have
You've
to look
seen
it up.
it?
No.
Oh my God. It's so good.
Oh.
I've actually watched it a few times and I've recommended it to people.
Well, we always get good answers and we find something new. So The Short Game. Go check it
Yes.
out. I will be checking that out. Question number 2.
Yes.
Shot number 2. What's your favorite golf club in your bag and why?
It changes a lot, and I'm sure people say that.
They do?
Right now, my driver has been pretty good.
Good for you.
I know. It's like, and it's not 100% obviously, but I've been hitting it well enough that that's all I want to hit right now. But I definitely need to work on my short game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's your least favorite club in your bag right now?
6-iron and 3-wood.
6-iron and 3-wood. So do you try to dodge those as much as you can? Do you try to hit
Yes.
soft 5-irons or hard 7-irons?
I don't have a 5-iron in my bag, I don't think. But I have some hybrids that I hit, and then I have a 5-wood. And I actually was out here like 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days
at the
ago you
range.
were out here.
Yeah, no, at the range. I don't even think I posted it, but I was
Oh.
at the range 2 days ago, just hitting balls, and I was working on my 6-iron and my 3-wood, which actually were okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Question number 3. What's your aiming fluid? So if you're out on the golf course, what are you imbibing? What are you drinking?
Okay, so if I'm really trying to play well, I usually stick to water, you know,
Yep.
so I can stay focused.
Get that answer a lot.
But if I'm vibing, like,
and
you
this
know,
is the answer we're looking for.
Which honestly, again, too, it's like I usually go out there for fun. Like, I usually am like so this I really like. A vodka soda with a splash of pineapple because it's very refreshing.
Oh yeah, that sounds delicious. I like that.
And it's like low calorie. It's not like actual soda. So you just do a splash of pineapple juice to give it a little flavor.
Yeah, not go down so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I love that.
That's my drink of choice.
Question number 5. I can't wait to ask you, or 4. I can't wait to ask you this question. Anger on the golf course we talk about every time on this show. Do you beat yourself up? Do you swear? Have you thrown a club? Have you broken a club? Do you get angry?
I accidentally broke a club over somebody once.
How do you accidentally break a club over someone?
It was horrifying. Don't do it ever.
I'm pretty sure I won't.
It wasn't because I was angry. Yeah, how many people tell you that?
Yeah, tell me the story.
So I was learning to golf, and usually when girls swing a golf club, like when they're newer and haven't played a lot of sports, they just, they don't really swing it, right? And this guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna help you swing," right? He's like trying to like flirt with me, and I was like, "Okay," and he was like, "I'm gonna help you keep your head down." I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Am I okay to swing?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I do like a full softball swing, like a full, like I take it around and I like, and I break it over him, and the club head comes spinning out in front of me, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "I just killed this man." Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was mortified. Luckily, he was from Canada and has been hit by many hockey
Luckily,
sticks.
he was from Canada.
Luckily, he was from Canada, and he was hit by many hockey sticks. And he took it like a man. He was like, "I'm fine." I was like, "I know you're not fine. It's okay." But yeah.
That is great. Oh, I love the stories we come up with on this show.
So that's not because I was angry, though, but that happened.
Yeah, you strike me as the person who doesn't get angry necessarily when you hit bad shots.
I mean, that's because in my head I'm playing for fun, but I still get angry. I just posted a video today of me being like, I almost hit it in the street the other day. It's like, this is my nightmare. Seriously, hitting it in the streets, like really narrow fairways sometimes are my nightmare, like especially when I first started, like there's houses on this side and a street on this side. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Why?
Question number 5. It's the end of the show.
Yes.
What's your dream foursome? So, and that includes you. So you only get 3 people to pick, but
Okay.
I'm going to give you anybody. It's not just golfers. Any person, alive or dead. Who 3 people are you taking golfing, and what course are you going to go play?
Man, okay.
Take a beat. Make sure, yeah, there you go. Make sure you think about this.
I think Paige, because
Yep.
she's the ultimate
She's
golf,
come up on the show,
golf
obviously.
girl, like no explanation needed. Tiger, because, no explanation needed.
Yep.
And I also think like John Daly, because I like a good story. I like some good conversation, and I feel like he has stories.
I'm pretty sure Mallory Berry had both John Daly and Paige. Also, yeah, 2 women who want Tiger, or Daly and Paige. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think that would be a good group of people.
Sounds amazing. Where are you
Yeah.
going to go play? Do you have a favorite you've been to before, or a place you want to go? I mean, you've been to Pebble. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I haven't played Pebble, but I've played Tehama, which is really nice there too.
Mm-hmm.
Augusta, because I actually went to the Masters and just got to walk around it, and I was like, ah.
Did you just get to go this year or last year? When did you
It
go?
was a few years ago, maybe
Yeah.
3 years ago, something like
How
that.
fun.
It was amazing. So, like, just being able to walk around there, it was like such a dream, It was
Yeah.
just a perfect course. So
Yep.
maybe Augusta.
It's Mecca, yeah.
Yeah.
That and
I
St.
mean,
Andrews.
I definitely don't feel like I'm good enough to play it, but like, but I would be that day, obviously, because I would use my focus goggles. I use my focus goggles that day. Put my non-ADD glasses
That's
on that day.
good. Leah, thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was so awesome. You are a treat. Thank you for watching. That's it. Hit them straight. From your friends at Angel Park, we'll see you next week. Cheers.